Welcome into the Fun Astrology Podcast for Monday, May 26th. Yeah, it's a holiday in the United States, but it's not in the sky. And boy, if you missed this because of the holiday, you are missing a great day.
Hello, Thomas and Fun Astrology Podcast. Happy Monday. Today is a lucky day. In fact, it is a full lucky week. We start with the Gemini new moon today, and we're building to the Sun-Mercury conjunction later in the week. I hope you all can use this creative energy to its fullest. To find out more lucky days for June, join the Lucky Stars Club. Thomas and I can't wait to see you there. I hope you all have a wonderful week.
Thanks, Kristin. Great report, and we do have a good week, and that new moon is later tonight, 11:02 p.m. Eastern, at 6 degrees Gemini. And see, that's the thing. Remember, we've been talking about this great pyramid that we have now until 2031. I mean, this is just so incredible. I still, it just boggles my mind. But the points of the pyramid are Gemini, Aquarius, and Aries. Those are the points, the corners of the pyramid, if you will. So everything going on in the sky this week is on the Gemini corner, which means that it's aspecting the other 2 points. So this is a really activated week for the Great Pyramid. So if we step back a few days, let's go back to last Saturday. Not this Saturday, Saturday ago, we had the sun leaving Taurus, kissed Uranus on the way out. As Ray Merriman said in Saturday's financial podcast, that pretty much set up the volatility that we saw last week. Then on Tuesday, the sun entered Gemini, so we shifted from that solid, stable, Taurian, calm, grounded energy to boing, zing, bzz, Gemini. And that was as the moon wobble was approaching. That was Friday, the 3-week out phase of the moon wobble, which I'm saying is very much in effect right now. That's the phenomenon where the sun squares, this time, the nodes of the moon, which happens on June 13th. We back up from that. That's our orb. We're watching that unfold. And then, to add more, yesterday, Mercury entered its own sign of Gemini. So the strength of this Mercury-Gemini phenomenon is incredible. That basically, in astrological terminology, adds bzzt to existing bzzt. So it's double bzzt. And if you're catching us like you haven't heard what bzzt is in astrology, that's what Noel Teal, a wonderful astrologer who passed away some years ago, he called Uranus the planet of bzzt. Well, I like to carry that forward. That's a good term, Noel. So with that as the background, all of that as the background, we roll into this week, which is very charged with Mercury and Gemini. So to start this domino trip, if you will, the moon moves into Gemini today at 1:20. So that puts sun and moon together, new moon, amplified Gemini. And then, because of the Great Pyramid structure, something's going to hit Pluto and Neptune and Saturn. So the moon does that, sextiles them right away within the first couple of hours. And then Mercury, which entered Gemini yesterday, sextiles Neptune. That's this afternoon at 4:37 p.m. Eastern. And then tomorrow, and Kristin will talk about this, Mercury trines Pluto. So you see all of this like boom, boom, boom. We have that, and then we have more at the end of the week that we'll talk about, including Mercury conjoining the sun, Cazimi time. So what do we do with all of this? What's up for today? Well, today's a holiday, so first of all, be a little careful traveling. If you are out and about, use my muscle testing technique. And by the way, we put that on the Old Soul, New Soul Astrology podcast. It's the latest video there. So if you go over to that channel, you can see my muscle testing process. It's also on Subconscious Mind Mastery, very creatively produced and shot from one of our listeners' homes in Albuquerque, and that's on the Subconscious Mind Mastery channel back from February. So you can see it in 2 different places. The one on Subconscious is more in depth, but that muscle testing, I use it when I'm driving. So if I leave now, will I arrive safely? Will I arrive without incident, without damage, without speeding tickets, without meeting any nice, kind, wonderful officers? Cracked windshields, flat tires, et cetera, et cetera. You just say, I use kind of a blanket. Will there be any mishaps or accidents? But we know from astrology that right off the bat, just be more careful this whole week, but especially today because it's a holiday. Don't be surprised if there's some surprises. Typically, Mercury is like second in line to the moon of faster movers, so we would expect things to come and go quickly with Mercury's energy, but it is so baked into this whole week that everything about Mercury and Gemini is at play every day. Because the pyramid, the Great Pyramid, is such a new phenomenon, we're going to have to get used to how these planets respond to it. So I'm going to be taking notes. If you have anything to share, drop us some comments in the YouTube channel and tell us how this is playing out for you, because we're going to have to get some patterns here. It's going to happen every time something changes signs. So how does the moon react when it sextiles Saturn and Neptune? How does it react when it trines Pluto? When it enters Cancer, we'll have to observe how it is with the square. And the moon will give us some indications. Mercury next, second fastest, and then obviously as Venus and Mars continue their treks around, we'll follow them too. But that's basically what we're looking at, is how do the sun and the moon and then the three outer planets, how do they relate back to the Great Pyramid? And that is basically astrological interpretation now for the next 6 years. I'm not kidding, because these do not move off of these positions. They're like, boom, they're right there. Retrograde back, come close to zero, move forward, but not very fast. I mean, it's just the whole thing. It's just amazing. Now, eventually Saturn will pull away, but it takes about 2.5 years to move through a sign, so it's going to be slow. So that's one thing we have to figure out. How are these planets going to interact with the 3 points of the Great Pyramid? 0 Aries, 0 Aquarius, and 0 Gemini. I know it's hard to pattern right now, and it's frustrating. I'm frustrated in the markets because I've got some stuff that I'm trying to get locked on, and it's like it's impossible. And that's just a microcosm of the rest of life. So yes, if things are up in the air right now, if things are unpredictable, if things are hard to establish that pattern, if tomorrow is all of a sudden not like yesterday, well, just realize that's it for all of us. And this flexibility and this propensity for bzzzt all the time is going to be with us. It's not going away. What we have to do is pick up the other clues on how we can adjust to it. And it's going to take a little bit of getting used to, I can tell. All right, you guys have a great holiday. If you're playing around, if you're editing like me, I'm working on a project. If you're waking, well, good for you. Whatever you're doing, let's stop and pause and salute those who have given their life so that we can get on here and speak freely. And for those of you who are trying to take that away, may you be blocked, thwarted, and cast into the pit. People have died so that we can do this, and we honor that this weekend. And especially if you're a family member of one of those, we put our loving arms around you and thank you. That's what this weekend is all about. Kristin's here tomorrow. See you back on Wednesday.